Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. It's really great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity. I was captivated by a lot of what Governor Freudenthal was mentioning, particularly when he talked about how the fossil fuel-based energy industry had perhaps gotten the wrong story to tell. That was fascinating because actually what I'm here to talk about this morning is how the forest products industry has actually not been telling a story at all. And we're newly determined to make sure that we do a better job with that and actually go out and tell our story. Now, we would also very openly tell you that we've got to have a better story to tell as well. We can't just tell the same story 5 or 10 years from now that we're telling you today. So it's got two components. We've got to be a better company, and we've also got to tell a better story, because when you leave a vacuum, somebody's going to fill it, and that's really what's been happening with our industry. I've got a few slides, and we'll kind of flip through them pretty quickly just to help tell that story. A very quick introduction to the company in case you haven't been familiar with International Paper. Here's some quick facts. We're coming up on the $30 billion revenue mark. We are the country's and the world's largest forest products company, and as you see here, a statement from our chairman about how we think about sustainability. My position was newly established just a few months ago. I've been with the company for 21 years, always in business roles. And so we've really kind of had a new focus in the last couple of years in terms of, like I said, having a better story to tell, making our company better, and also making sure that we share our story. I mentioned telling our story better, and you know, this is just the heart of that story. When we think about ourselves, so if it's just us International Paper people sitting around and thinking about our business, we actually describe ourselves as being one of the most green businesses in the world. So sustainable forestry is our business. You know, we have a need that continues on and on for generations and many, many decades for supply of wood fiber and therefore forest to grow to support our businesses. And so you see this picture on the left-hand side of this screen, you know, sustainable forestry. You see the sun shining through the trees. It's a very pretty picture. And that's really the way we think about ourselves. And for many years, I've thought, well, gee, I guess that's the way everybody thinks about us. But that's really not the case. A lot of people, when they think about the forest products industry, come up with a picture that looks more like what you see on the right-hand side of the screen, which is the harvesting and destruction of forest. So we've got really a major perception issue. And again, if we just allow that misperception to exist and we don't tell a different story, it's, you know, nobody's fault but our own that everybody's going to have a rather negative view of our industry. It doesn't help that the forests of the world are actually shrinking. The forests in the U.S. are growing and they're healthy, but around the rest of the world that's not the case. And so when you think about that, do you think, well, gee, is it forest products that are causing the shrinkage of the forests around the world? The answer is no, it's not. In most of the rest of the world, what drives the shrinking of the forest is the need to feed human beings. And of course, that need is only going to grow over the next few decades as the human population grows from 7 billion today to about 9 billion in the future. And so you see these causes of deforestation. The illegal logging that you see listed there is generally taking place to make room for agricultural commodities to grow. Paper just has a wonderful story to tell, and particularly in developed markets like the U.S., paper is by far the most recycled product that humans use. So about 70% of paper gets recycled in the U.S., and you can see the trajectory as the amount of paper has been recovered that's been growing over the last few years and decades. At the same time, obviously, the amount of paper going to a landfill has been shrinking. And so this is one of the best recycling stories that exists. And so it's, again, part of the story we want to tell because it's really positive, but we haven't been sharing this. Here are International Paper's first set of voluntary sustainability goals, which we just published in May of 2012. And you don't need to, you know, sort of memorize those or anything like that, but I thought I'd share them with you just to make sure I tell the whole story, because again, it isn't just talking. We aren't just determined to come out and, you know, tell you things. We're also determined to make the company better. And you see a range of areas here where we are going to improve our environmental performance, but also our performance with regard to people and the communities in which we operate around the world. We're really proud of this fact. Earlier in 2011, we were awarded, and we were, as you see here, the first forest products company to be awarded an EPA award for climate leaders. The reason we got that award is that we achieved, over the previous decade, a 40% reduction in our greenhouse gas emissions in the U.S., which is a tremendous number. I mean, 40% is, to me, quite impressive. Now, it took $300 million to get that reduction, so it's not free, obviously. But this is a perfect example, in my mind, of that win-win, where business results and sustainability results actually go very strongly hand in hand, where we invest money to reduce our energy consumption. When we do that, we obviously also reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. So these two things go hand in hand. And those are the best sustainability projects where you actually say there's a business driver, an economic driver, and there's an environmental benefit. So that's been a huge win for us, and one we're really very proud of. And really, that's kind of the end of the sort of slides I wanted to share. Again, it's just sort of an opening, starting the conversation with you, but there are just a number of places where we can go with a conversation that I'm very happy to do.